Hello and welcome to another day of Stories with KCBT. I hope you all are doing well and are finding magic in your own story, in your own character. As you all know, today is the third day of my video, and today I have brought you something that's very close to me. Like all content, obviously, I put that's close to me, but uh, today is the day when I share something that I stumbled upon in my life. I read it, it felt home, and then it stayed with me for a long while. So much so that it has somehow become something that whenever I open it, I read it, it makes me ponder, it makes me think, and it makes me feel content with wherever I am today. So, just to give you a background, uh, it was about 10 years back in my life when I started to experience a lot of why in my life. I started to question a lot of things. I started to question why I was doing what I was doing, why I was studying what I was studying, why I was living the way I was living, why I was moving around with the friends that I had, and so many things. So much so that it came down to the point where I started to question, why was I even here? Why was I even born? What was the point of it? What would be lost if I wasn't a part of this picture? And what have I gained by being a part of this picture? So I later got to know that this becomes the foundational step of your spiritual journey. Uh, I'm not sure if I would call myself someone who's spiritual or not, but I do call myself a storyteller and I do question a lot. So I think that's one thing that goes similar to spiritual people, since spiritual people also question a lot. But yes, I think they're very pious, they're very devoted, and I'm still on the journey. So yes, while I was back to the story, when 10 years ago, when I was questioning everything in my life, I started to make a lot of decisions. I started to take decisions, my career decisions. I started to take decisions about who I move around with, who I don't move around with, uh, what I say yes to, what I say no to. It came with a lot of goodbyes, but it also came with a lot of hellos. It came with a lot of uncertainty, but yes, it came with a lot of content as well. So, but there was one thing that I learned. I think that was the most painful to learn back then. That was that some answers are not going to come to me no matter how hard I try, no matter how many books I read, no matter how many people I ask, no matter how many teachers I go to. If an answer is not meant to come to me, it's not meant to come to me. So I started to find it in me to let it go. So there were still a lot of questions. We jumped to 8 years later, like about 9 years later, about last year, I stumbled upon a book which I actually did not intend to buy. I actually did not intend to read. I was just in a book fair and I wanted to buy very different kind of books. I bought very different kind of books. And while on my way out, I was on my way out, I saw a book and it somehow, I felt like I wanted to read it, although I had my doubts. But I'll tell you why I had my doubts. So the book I'm talking about, first let me introduce you to the book and then I'll tell you things further. This is Imam Ghazali's Letter to a Disciple. Why I was doubtful to buy this is because I thought it's something that's specifically towards a very specific religion. But somehow the book called me towards itself, and as I've learned, and I believe that knowledge, like your money, like your food, like your abundance, knowledge is also something that's written. You get it when you get it, and you get it how much you meant to get. So I just took it. I tried to keep all my bias aside. I bought it, I read it, and I realized that it had a lot of answers for me that I had initially thought that there are no answers to it. So I'm going to read an excerpt from this one about the introduction of the book. This is a book. This conversation, it's basically a conversation, since the name suggests it's letter to a disciple. Imam Ghazali was a spiritual teacher. He was a philosopher. He was a thinker. He had been closely associated to the study of philosophy and had a lot of students as well. So the book has a background that one of his disciples wrote him a letter and asked him a few questions, and he had written the answer to his disciple, which was then later stored and printed in this form of book. So yeah, and this is something that I'm talking about 11th, 12th century. So this book was also my realization that some laws are universal, and no matter how much time passes, how many decades go by, some things just remain the way they are. So let me just start it. O disciple, it is desirable for you that your speech and action be in accord with the law, since knowledge and action which are not modeled on the law are error. Know that the unrestrained tongue, I'll repeat it. Know that the unrestrained, I'm fumbling. Know that the unrestrained tongue and the heart that is rusted over and full of negligence and greed are a sign of misfortune. And if you do not kill the ego with sincere exertion, your heart will not be animated by the lights of gnosis. Gnosis basically means knowledge of spiritual mysteries. Know that the answers to some things about which you asked me are not brought about through writing and discussion. If you attain to that state, you will know what they are. And if not, knowing them is an impossibility, in that they pertain to direct experience. The description of anything to do with direct experience is not furnished through discussion. As the sweetness of what is sweet and the bitterness of what is bitter is not known except by taste. So yeah, let's discuss it a bit. So the first thing that he says is that, First thing that he says, O disciple, it is desirable for you that your speech and action be in accord with law, since knowledge and action which are not modeled on the law are error. Okay, so the law over here, some people take it as a religion, but it's not necessarily religion. It could be your principles, it could be humanity, it could be whatever you believe in. It could also be religion, but it is what you believe in. Spirituality mainly believes, let's talk about that only. Spirituality mainly believes that you have to have a compass to live your life. Only when you will have a compass, your life will have a purpose, and the things that you do will not be a transaction. I hope I'm able to make my sense. Like, if my core, for instance, I'll give you an example. If for example, I believe in humanity. So if I'm helping another human, if my belief is humanity, that help will not be for the sake of getting something in return. I know I'll have a compass that directs me to do the right thing. So that's exactly what he's telling his disciple, that it is desirable for you that your speech, he takes it to the extent of speech, that even when you talk to people, you need to keep that compass in focus. Like, if I believe, once again, taking that example, if I believe in humanity, I will not talk to people in a way that might hurt their self-esteem. Your speech and action be in accord with the law, whatever law you follow. choose it, pick it, then have the guts to follow it. And and the action which are not modeled on the law are error, because obviously if we do not have a compass, if we do not have a greater purpose attached to what we do, there will come a time when we're going to get disappointed. Because going back to the previous example, even if I talk nicely to people, obviously I'm not going to find nice people every time. And if I'm not going to find nice people every time, by the third or fourth attempt, I'm going to leave, because I would think that what's the point of doing it? Because I do not have a compass. But once I have it, I'm going to remain the way I am because I believe in it, not because someone else is doing or someone else is not doing something. The second thing he says, note that the unrestrained tongue and the heart that is rusted over and full of negligence and greed are a sign of misfortune. Your unrestrained tongue, when you don't know what to talk, how much to talk, when to talk, it's a sign of misfortune. And the heart that is rusted over and full of negligence and greed. Rusting over, spirituality talks about the rusting of a heart is that when you do not cleanse it. Like, they believe that that compass that's guiding you, that also keeps your heart clean. So if your heart is full of negligence and greed because you're doing something for the people to get something, that's a sign of misfortune, because then you're only going to do very specific things for very specific reasons, and you might not even yield the results that you want to yield, and that's a misfortune. And that is when you're going to start to feel that everyone is against you. And if you do not kill the ego with sincere exertion, your heart will not be animated by the lights of gnosis. Gnosis, as I said, knowledge of spiritual mysteries. So you need to kill your ego. You need to keep your heart directed on where you feel the compass exists, your compass exists. And that is when the mysteries of the world is going to open upon you. Number third, know that the answers to some things about which you asked me are not brought about through writing and discussion. I love this one. If you attain to that state, you will know what they are. And if not, knowing them is an impossibility, in that they pertain to direct experience. The description of anything to do with direct experience is not furnished through discussion. As the sweetness of what is sweet and the bitterness of what is bitter is not known except by taste. I love this part, that some experiences, some things are just learned by experience. Those lessons are just, they're going to come to you when you're going to go through the pain of it. Other than that, even if people would try to talk to you about it, try to tell you about it, you might listen, you might not judge, you might respect them, but you might not understand it till you go through it. So, and spirituality has a very strong belief over the idea that living your life, living through the experiences brings you the light that's meant to enter in your life. So yeah, that's all for today. That was the book that's still there. That's one of my favorites, and it has a lot of lessons. Like, I've marked so many things in this, so it's not just one. I've just shared one, and I hope it's beneficial for you. I hope it brings some answers for you, or if not, I hope it just makes you feel good to know, to find the words that are valuable. So that's it for today. I hope you all are well. I hope you all are doing well. I'll see you tomorrow with something new, I hope. And I hope you take very good care of yourself till then. And I hope that you keep finding magic in your story, in your character. Goodbye.